So, I mean, the foundation of everything we have by the end of the day is that is very important is we have two parts of it. That's one of those video embedding that we create that is quite unique. Our video embedding is 1,688 dimensions. And for anybody out there that is not familiar with the term embeddings when it comes to AI and machine learning, it's basically a high dimensional space with different coordinations where, I mean, you can cluster assets into clusters that have then, I would say, in our case, emotionally similar clusters of content. So here in front of you, I try to kind of we have tried to visualize those 1,688 dimensions into two dimensions, so we human beings can actually understand it, and that helps us to see if the model is doing a great job, if it's actually doing uh, reasonable clusters that actually make sense. So what you see here is basically all of the assets that the AI have seen. A little bit, we usually describe it as the mind map of the AI. It has all of the video embeddings in a two-dimensional space, and then we have kind of clustered it into emotionally similar clusters. So up here, as an example, we have a cluster, and of course, I have already, I'm very familiar with all of the clusters, and I've been navigating these a lot. But we can see that this is a cluster of, I would say, underdog sports movies, like Rocky, The Warrior, I, Tonya, etc.
Hmm.
You can see down here, we have like two clusters. So we have on the left side, I call this the animation islands. On the right side, we have like 2D animations, as you can see here. And on the left side of it, we have a little bit more teenage violent animations. Cool thing here, we have like the documentary island. So all of these are documentaries. And then if we kind of take the top of the documentary island, we can see all the music documentaries as an example.
Ah,
And funny enough, the other day I found this little cluster. I thought it was a very funny cluster. It's all like family dog movies. They look very, very similar to each
oh
other as
my,
well.
wow.
But so the video embedding is basically the DNA of the content. So we have the embedding for like long format and long form assets.
Hmm.
So no matter if it's 10 minutes or 2 hours, we can create the embedding. And we have that embedding down to a scene level, which is extremely important. So keep the video embedding in mind as the rest of the kind of demo that I show is also associated because the embedding is part of the when we create clips, when we create thumbnails and the tags, etc. So can you see when I switch to the new screen? You see
Yeah,
the new
yeah.
Skyfall? Great. So here in front of you see kind of our internal tool where we kind of can upload any assets we want and then kind of analyze them.
Hmm.
So a 2 hour, 20-minute movie like this, I think takes around like 20, 25 minutes to process for all the data points I'm going to show you now. And everything you see from here on is basically all extracted and generated from the video. So there's no manual work done here. There's no human beings being involved.
Wow.
So first of
And
all, yeah.
Arash, sorry, just one question was once you upload a particular piece of content, how long does it take for the system to sort of analyze all of the dimensions that you talked about?
Yeah. So the 2 hour, I think actually I said it wrong. So they usually say 1 hour takes around 20 minutes. I said
Oh,
2 hours takes 20 minutes, but 1 hour asset takes around 20 minutes. And
understood.
that's for all the data points I'm showing you.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you it's around like it's a lot of different areas. So then
Okay.
if you want to break it down to different components, that's definitely scaling down the amount of time it takes to process. But
Understood.
if we pretend everything I'm going to show you in this demo here right now, then it will take around 20 minutes.
Got it. Got it. Understood. And what we're able to sort of see from the screen is genre, mood, and then keywords and a host of
So
the other
I mean
qualifications.
the basic stuff. So first of all, what is most important, and in this case, I'm showing Skyfall, but like
Yeah.
you have the example of that the AI is describing the actual like asset back to you.
Hmm.
Now for Skyfall, that's a mainstream Hollywood movie. Uh, it's not as valuable because there's definitely going to be a synopsis there. But it's usually used for the actual synopsis that is written here is per episode. As the AI can watch the whole asset and then describe it back to you, and in detail, like really creative. Actually, describes it like in this high-stakes spy thriller, James Bond returns from the shadows to find MI6 under siege. And the cool thing, which I'm going to show you, it's also picking up a lot on the emotions. It's telling you this is a kind of like with this breakneck neck action sequence, sophisticated style, and intense suspense, this movie is quintessentially a glamorized spy film that embodies the excitement and thrills. This
Very
is
nice.
coming from a lot of the emotional data,
Okay.
which I'm going to show you now before we move on to the rest of it. So the emotional data you see down here.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring the video up here. So down here you see the actual emotional data, and this is basically an old psychological model called valence, arousal, and dominance. So with these 3 dimensions, you can kind of map up the 8 basic human emotions: anger, fear, joy, disgust, etc.
Hmm.
So valence is positive and negative emotions. So the higher up it is, the more positive it is. The lower down it is, the more negative. So, or more emotional, I would say. Or when it's high up, it's very more joyful.
Okay.
Arousal is the stress levels. So the
Hmm.
higher up it is, the more stress in the scene.
Right.
Dominance is then showing basically how much you feel in control when you look at something. Do you feel big or do you feel small?
Okay.
With these 3 dimensions, then we translate that into the 8 basic emotions. So a scene here that we see super stressful, very negative. The basic emotion here is fear. So if I click it, we can see it's a sniper scene, typical action scene.
Hmm.
Bond, is he gonna die? Not gonna die? You
Right.
know, we all know. We all know he's not gonna die.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing of this, and we're going to get further down the road and discuss that, but I think it's quite interesting because the emotional data plays such a big role when you want to understand scripted content like this.
Hmm.
So moving back to it, that emotional data then is used for a lot of different products, which I'm going to show you
Hmm.
down the road. So just like you said, now it's describing the content back to us with a synopsis. It's telling us what is the most spoken language. It's giving us all the kind of descriptive keywords, the genres, the moods, and the mood tags, but it's also giving us a relevancy score. So
Right.
it's not a confidence score. It's more how relevant the actual keyword is to it. So we know which keywords actually makes more sense.
Hmm.
And we can see here we're using the 3 different layers. So the video embedding, which would be then data from the video and the audio analysis. And then we have a separate layer for the transcripting to pick up things like character names, like James Bond or MI6 or CIA. That is, of course, coming from the actual transcript by the end of the day. So it's a combination of the video embedding and the transcript so we can get very descriptive keywords. Then we have the actual mood tags coming from the video embeddings.
Got it. Fascinating.
Then, just interrupting as I'm going through, and also as I know you have much better track on the timeline than I have, so please let me know if there's
Sure thing. Sure
time.
thing. Well, I did have one question actually, Arash, on this one.
Yeah.
How do you process international content? Is that something that comes in automatically into this model, or do you have to do any creative changes to
That's a
the?
great question. I mean, I can show you this if we have some time over for some different assets, but the AI it have been trained for a wide variety of content because, especially when we started working like with Hulu in Japan,
Right.
um, they had a lot of anime, and anime is extremely different from Western animations and Western content, and they had some Japanese content as well that is not animes.
Right.
Uh, and we had to train the AI. We had to create a feedback loop for it to understand that as a different way. Same thing we actually did for content from the Middle East or for Bollywood content, because I mean, as an example, Bollywood content can be extremely joyful in a drama and colorful, but
Right.
still reflect a certain dramatic emotion.
Yeah.
So to teach the AI to understand that, we had a feedback loop of labeling, of course, and retraining it to do that. So usually when we get into a new content area, we have a specific training method that we kind of utilize and repeat to be able to work with that content. So right now, I would say region-wise, we kind of, I would say, cover anything that would matter at the moment. Maybe there's corners of the world we haven't found yet. Uh, and the second thing, of course, is a lot of content is inspired by each other all over the world. I
Understood.
mean, there's a lot of content from the West that has been kind of inspiring the Middle East and vice versa.
Right, right. And then the other question, so that's great actually about the international piece. Although it does, I have lot of curiosity about some cultures which are extremely expressive and some that are less so.
Yeah.
And how how does the emotions come out with the engine that you showed. But the other question I had was about documentaries. um,
Yeah.
my understanding then is that, in the case of documentaries, your keyword data will be very rich, but the emotions don't really vary on a large spectrum,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So
And
how do
that that's
you?
a
Mhm.
that's exactly a great question because I mean documentaries is much more topic heavy. It's
Yes.
much more about what they're talking about and the facts rather than
And that's what
actually
I meant
the
with.
sentiment.
That's right. That's what I meant with very rich keywords, because the
Yeah.
keywords will be very very sophisticated, and some very rich
Mm.
information will come out from there. But from an emotion perspective, it'll be pretty flat. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not depending on the show. I mean, the documentary. If you look at Blackfish about SeaWorld, and the okras, extremely emotional. Music is very emotional. So it's all depending on the documentary, actually. The AI
Okay.
is super good at it because the transcripting layer is
Hmm.
just there to pick up, okay, it's about SeaWorld, it's about orcas, it's about dolphins, you know. Then you have the mood tags that is actually picking up if it's informative and educational or if it's actually very emotional or inspiring. So then you can actually generate and separate documentaries that are much more factual from documentaries that are actually much more emotional. And that's exactly what the tool is for, right? To be able to not put those two in the same bucket, that you can actually separate them from each other.
So then, from what I'm hearing you say, Arash, is that spoken word, music, and what's on screen, all three factors are considered to determine the emotion.
100%, 100%. And
Okay,
that's the way why I think filmmaking background is so important, right? You have to
that's
think
right.
like a director or a producer when they're designing and editing and making all of that, they have all those layers, working together in a symphony.
Right.
They're not just separate layers working by themselves. So
Fascinating.
you can't treat them separately from each other that way.
Understood. Understood. Okay. No, this is super useful. So then I'm
Mhm.
guessing that for sports, it could also have, the applause. Same thing for stand up
Different
comedy.
game. I mean,
Right.
the thing with sports is we always say that's a totally different beast.
Okay, okay.
And
Let's
because,
park sports for a second, so that we don't get into a rabbit hole. Let's talk about stand up, which
yeah,
is, a laugh track, audience reaction. I'm guessing that
yeah,
that also.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
100%. I mean, there it picks up that it's joyful, it's exciting. There's elements that are very similar to how we consume any other entertainment. So that there's that it definitely works for. But when you
because
start going
again,
to yeah,
sorry,
please.
I was just saying that, again, in a stand up, there's nothing major happening on the screen, and yet the entire engagement of that the audience may experience is largely, could be detected,
Mm.
I guess, from keywords and then reactions and claps and laughs, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the same thing as the soundtrack or the sound effects or the music. It's all there to
Okay,
add certain value for us to react to, right? It's part
right.
of that's why you do stand up in front of audience. It would be very boring without the
That's
clapping
right.
and the people laughing, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
No, but this is super useful. So sorry, I interrupted
No, no, no.
your flow on
I
the
love
demo.
rabbit holes. I love rabbit holes. I mean, I can dig into those areas for hours,
Okay.
but
All right.
just moving on. Same thing that I showed you there in the embedding space and the, mind map. The AI is very good at clustering content in emotionally similar clusters.
Uh,
And there it connects that basically in your library, it finds everything else that is similar to it emotionally.
those are great
So
results, by the way. I mean, is that
thanks.
how do you call it? Those are similar titles. Okay.
Yeah, these are similar titles from like a demo library we have of around 3,000 assets, I think.
Okay.
So it's finding all out of all of those 3,000 assets, it's trying to find things that are similar to it.
And I
And I
guess
mean, all of
the
this,
challenge,
yeah,
for a lot of the services is to surface some of these similar, especially you talked about recommendations and personalization.
yeah, yeah.
And if you are able to then even surface results that are unexpected, especially from different cultures, but still true to the same theme.
Exactly, exactly the point, right? I mean, especially when you're doing libraries that are that diverse from each other. You want people that are consuming. And I think Netflix have been amazing at this, right? Look at how
Yes.
many Indian movies people are consuming, or how many Korean movies people are consuming globally right now,
Yes.
thanks to their recommendations, because they know the users in, the Western world now, and they know how to actually get them to consume content outside their comfort zone. And this
Yes.
is, I think, the key to unlock, the investments you're doing in content, which is expensive.
That's right. That's right. So this is, yeah, this is super useful to at least understand the recommendations piece.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So all of this I showed you, all of this from top to down is one API call. So that all of this you get in one straight API call.
Interesting.
Moving forward, without stealing too much time of you, because I have so much cool stuff to show,
Okay. All
is
right.
that if we look here, the AI we have trained the AI to understand what is an aesthetically nice image. So the AI is super good at generating thumbnails that are, aesthetically nice that you can use for the user experience or marketing. And we have several layers doing things there, like the AI is looking at mouth status, eye status, brisk
Mm,
level, which is like stillness levels, blurriness basically for the character, so it's not blurry.
mm.
And it's been trained. Like I really love how the AI is almost feels sometimes like a photographer standing there and waiting for the perfect picture. You can
Wow.
see like M here in James Bond. It looks like she's, getting instructions for the photographer to look on the right side now. I'm gonna take a picture.
Right.
Then the AI have character tracking, so which means that it knows the position of the character, so I can choose I want the character on the right side, in the middle, left. I can set that I want the close up to be medium, large, and of course, if it's burned in subtitles, exclude
Mm.
that. So I have all these filters and parameters, so I can set and kind of say, this is the recipe I want for my type of thumbnails.
Right.
Now do that for 10,000 assets or 1,000 assets. Then I have the character tracking, so I can easily choose. So the AI knows Daniel Craig is the main character, and Javier, I don't remember his last name. Javier is the villain playing
Right.
the character. He knows that he has third most screen time out of it. So this is the hierarchy basically showing character screen times. That
Mm.
means I can very easily find very nice thumbnails with not just Daniel Craig. I can just now, as you can see, I choose Javier's face, then I do a filtering. Now the AI is going through all of the frames
Right.
and then starting to extract those actual frames for me. Uh, so if you give it a second here, it's going to start loading. There you see. So now I have all the really nice images with Javier in them as well.
Mm.
And I can very easily also, of course, choose that I want the images with Javier and Daniel Craig.
Mm.
And there I get the character information, because the character position is important, because now I can automize and add like the Skyfall logo here on the left without putting it on the actress. So
Right.
you get, like you can see, position middle. You say the other one, position right.
Right.
So this is a scalable way of, for the creatives to, expand the amount of assets they have, so they can get thumbnails with every actor in a movie and making sure they're nice and looking cool.
Wow.